How can podcasters like you win this new brewing podcast app war? Listen up. Hello and welcome to another Podcast Pontifications with me, Evo Terra. There's a podcast app war totally underway, and maybe you missed it, and if so, I have no idea how you missed it because, wow, all over the place. 2019 has been a crazy year already for podcasting, and the proliferation of podcast apps that have hit the market just this year. Luminary making a big splash. There was Brew. There was the other one that's on social. There are all sorts of new podcast apps vying for your attention, both as a podcast listener and as a podcast producer. Now, that's nothing new about this. When podcasting got started back in 2004, there were a whole bunch of apps, some of which are still running today, or the core of a lot of services. Then, of course, our friends at Apple came along in June of 2005 and said, we could just be the dominant app in a lot of them. A lot went away, but there have always been lots of different applications out there people choose to listen to podcasts on. It's just that we've seen a lot more this year. And so as a podcaster, that likely gives you some questions about, what should I do? And I want to talk about that. That's the topic today, is what should we as podcasters do, you and I, about these new applications. That's going to be the sole focus of today's program. But before I jump in there, let's talk for a moment about the reason these apps exist. A lot of them exist because, they smell blood in the water, or gold in them there hills, if you want to think about it that way. The reason all these new apps are dropping is because there's a lot of attention in podcasting right now. And a lot of these apps are started by people who recognize the fact that for all the attention people give to podcasting in the media, the experience of listening still kind of stinks, doesn't it? Yeah, kind of does. And so they're seeing an opportunity, some of them, to create something new, something interesting, in an attempt to capture the new people on the marketplace. Now that's kind of new with these new services that are coming out, but it's not completely new. I mean, we've had some pretty innovative podcast apps that did more than just the basic things of let you subscribe to a show, let you download the episodes of that show, and perhaps organize them into some sort of playlist. That's the basics of what a podcast player ought to do. But these new ones that are coming on the market are trying to do new and different things, and that's what has me intrigued. I like it when podcast apps do something other than just make incremental improvements over the process that has existed for the last 15 years. Plenty of people like the powerhouse, the options to do very interesting and intriguing thing with those incremental changes. Like, for example, there are some podcast apps out there which let you trim the silence, not only just at the beginning and the end of a podcast episode, but actually gaps like this. They would tighten all that up. Cool, interesting. Well, okay, maybe, but that's an incremental improvement that some need. The larger audience isn't looking for that. These new apps that are really trying to do something different, like share podcast recommendations socially. Nothing new. It's been tried before, but now with the new attention that's on this, then maybe there's an opportunity. Again, this is not brand new, because I remember back there was an app called Otto Radio, OTTO, that I discovered back in 2015, maybe 16. And Otto was great because it let you... It would pick podcasts for you based on how much listening time you had available. Ooh, that's neat. I like that idea. I like that concept. Which episode should I listen to because I only have 20 minutes? Go pull them together. So that's a cool idea. And there are others that are cool ideas happening right now. Swoot is the new one that is the social sharing platform. We have Luminary and Brew that are trying to do more of a curated content list, sorta, although that's kind of falling on bad things. Lots are coming, and there are going to be more of these things coming as these people who make these apps are fighting for attention. Back to you and me, the podcasters, not the app makers, the podcasters. What should we do about all of these new apps? I have a very specific recommendation for you. A disclaimer, keep in mind that the reason I'm making this recommendation is because I have to take a listener-first approach, number one. Number two, I want my podcast and my clients' podcasts to be everywhere. Whatever someone is listening on, I want to make sure that my content, my clients' contents, is consumable and included, if possible, on that. I say disclaimer because right now there is a vocal contingency who are actively protesting certain apps. We have entire networks that are saying, no, thank you. I don't like the politics. I don't like the business model. I don't like something about this other app. So therefore, I'm going to work to make sure that my content is not available on that app. Here is the disclaimer. The reason for that disclaimer is unless if you have serious political things that I don't know what I'm looking for here. Look, here's the simple thing. I don't think you should have those. You shouldn't be making those political decisions for your content. Great, it's fine if you're one of these giant networks and you want to. Fine, knock yourself out. But you and me, the working podcaster out there, it's much more important for us to make sure that our content is available everywhere. So, with that disclaimer aside, here's what I think you should do. Number one, when you hear of a brand new app coming out, or that has already come out, or is in beta, or that you can get into for whatever reason, you should do it as early as possible. Yes, there is a 95%, I made that number up, chance that app will fail to be alive in a year, but I don't care. You need to download it now. And if you don't have the device operating system that it's on, maybe you're an iPhone user and it's only on Android, well, okay, what you need to do is go get a cheapo Android device and install that app. Same thing, if you're an Android hardcore and you don't want an iOS, I don't care. Go buy yourself an old iPhone 6. There's plenty of those available for not a lot of money right now. Don't need to put a SIM card in it. Well, maybe you do. Figure it out. Get a disposable SIM card, I guess. And install it and run these apps. It is incumbent upon you, the podcaster, to make sure that your content is available everywhere. Because these wars aren't going to end anytime real soon. You need to make sure that you're there. So you have to download the app because you want to check to make sure your show is in there. Yes. For every new podcast app that has come out in the last year and a half, I have downloaded it, I have installed it, and I've made sure that not only my content, but my client's content is there, and that it looks okay. There might be some changes I need to make to the way my show is listed or the way my client shows are listed because of the way they display on some podcast apps. That's happened. The only way I know that is because I have downloaded them. And I've made sure that my client's content and my content is available in every single one of those apps. For you, the working podcaster, for me, the working podcaster, we let the app wars fight themselves. We don't care. We do not get involved with that fight. We list our content everywhere. And we make sure that the content is everywhere. And if it goes away, that app goes away, we don't care. We honestly do not care because it is our purpose in life to make sure that our content is available to the widest place possible. Now, if you are a business out there and you need some help making sure that your content in your podcast is available, or maybe even starting your podcast from scratch, you should get in touch with me. evo@podcastlaunch.pro. You can go to podcastlaunch.pro to see all of the services I offer all of my clients all over the world. And that's it. I shall be back tomorrow with yet another Podcast Pontifications. Cheers!